What's up, fellow code breakers? Welcome back to Master the Frequency. Of course, it's Black Phoenix. As I said, today we're gonna get in front of this mirror. And I'm not talking about the mirror that you put your makeup on or trim your beard and all that stuff. No. The mirror of life. Because I don't know if you've ever heard this before. If not, then this is a reminder. But if this is your first time hearing it, your life is a reflection of what is going on inside of you. I know some of you find that hard to believe. Like, how can that be? But we're going to break that down. So first and foremost, like I said, it's time for you to look at yourself. I know that, we want to sit here and believe that they hurt me and all of this they stuff. And this is the reason why your life is not changing and you're still stuck in this loop. No. It's time for you to take control of yourself. First and foremost, you got to take control of your mind. You got to take control of this. Of course, you've heard the word or the term witchcraft. People use it all the time for different reasons and all of that stuff. Well, I believe in what's called spellcraft. And that's your words. Because what do? When you take a bunch of letters and you put them together to form a word, what do we call that? Spelling. And that word has power. So we're constantly casting spells on ourselves every time we open up to speak. Therefore, we must be conscious and intentional about the words that we speak upon ourselves. You want to know how to break the loop? You got to break your words. You have to take control of your mind and what you're thinking, what comes out of your mouth. Before you allow it to come out of your mouth, please understand, you must agree with it in order for you to speak it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So stop saying stuff like, I'll believe it when I see it. Yeah, sounds cute, right? But here's the thing. When it comes to your life changing, you keep saying, I'll believe it when I see it. No, do you not understand that basically what you're saying is you can't see it in your mind, which is why you will never see it manifest out here. Because you choose not to believe that it's possible. When you believe it's possible, you get to the place where you can see it. When you truly see it, then you no longer believe it's possible, you know that it's possible. And that's when the change happens. You have to control your thoughts. Please understand, words don't have time limits on them. So some of the things that you have said since you were a child, you still believe. Let those old narratives go. When we get in front of the mirror, two things can happen. We get a reflection, but in some cases, we see what we project. And a lot of times what we project can be off. Well, what I'm saying is this. In some cases, there are people, males and females, who most people find them to be absolutely attractive. Meanwhile, they go into the mirror and they do not see that they are attractive. You see what I'm saying? Now, somebody's missing something, but it's all based on what we are projecting versus what is reflecting. What is it that you're thinking about yourself? That's what's beating you up. That's what's tearing you down. That's why you're staying in this loop. Because of the way that you think and speak on things. Please be careful. Like, I don't allow myself to say, I don't know. I'm confused. I don't agree with stuff like that. I have a challenge. I'm not confused because I understand what the words mean. So every time you're telling yourself what you can't do, you're hurting yourself through your words. Just like the one of the worst words that people use and don't realize the power of it. The word but. Ever had somebody say, I want to do it, but. I want to do it, but this is the problem. I want to do it, but that. You see what I'm saying? That but kills everything because your intention is, I want to do this, but kills all of that and gives power to whatever came after it. See, this is why you have to be careful and actually choose intentionally what comes out of your mouth. You see what I'm saying? That's a part of you accepting yourself. You speak your reality. You speak these things out. So whenever, we find ourselves in the victim mode, wanting somebody to feel sorry for us, or we want to have a pity party, what do we say? The first thing we spew out, oh man, my life is never going to change. Nothing ever works for me. Things work for everybody else. But when it comes to me, nothing ever happens. See? And that's a lie. But they become self-fulfilling prophecies that you agree with because, again, as it started with a thought, you had to agree with a thought to speak it. You have to speak what you want your reality to be. And I'm not just talking about regular manifestation. I'm talking about purposely choosing what words come out of your mouth, purposely catching what thoughts are going on in your mind. Because again, as I said, words don't have any time. Okay? I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. If somebody says jelly, when I was in my unhealed state, anytime somebody said jelly, believe it or not, I grew up in North Carolina, used to eat Bama apple jelly, love that jelly. But for some reason, anytime jelly came to mind, I always thought about when we would get in trouble for eating up the jelly and stuff like that, we would get in trouble. So jelly was always associated with the trauma of how we would get in trouble behind jelly. I'm leaving a whole lot out of it. But the fact of the matter is, something as small as that word would always be connected to a trauma. You know what I'm saying? A bad experience that I had. You have to get to the place where you let go of these experiences because we keep connecting them from one thing to another. And so we're hurting ourselves in the process. We have to get to the place where we learn how to let go of stuff and change our perspective. For example, one of my friends, she called me, she's a nurse, right? Real cool. And she was telling me about how some young lady that she had been helping through her journey and process, how this girl started to distance herself once things started to get better in her life. Well, she goes through it and she's feeling some kind of way and all of that. And I get it. A lot of us do. We feel some kind of way when it's like we help people. We say we help people and then they leave us hanging. But I have come to have a different perspective about that. After she said all that she said, I kindly asked, can I offer my perspective? She said, yes. I said, well, the hell with her. Let her go. And she was like, excuse me? I said, let her go. Like, think about it. This girl is a reflection of you. She was actually a reflection of a part of you that was broken, a part of you that needed to be healed. If you actually listened to whatever it was that you told her to do that clearly worked out, which is why she was able to go along, then if you paid attention, then that was really for you and you healed that part of yourself. So why do you want someone that represents something that was broken to continue to linger? Let her go about her way so that you can be freer in what you're dealing with in your life. That's another part of you that is healed if you were paying attention. Because again, I'll tell you, for me, anytime I'm talking to my friends, my close friends and stuff like that, well, anybody I'm talking to, but mostly my close friends, I know that they are reflections of me, which is why I consider them to be close friends. Well, anytime I'm talking to them, I'm also listening to whatever I'm sharing with them. I know that's something for me. You see what I'm saying? So we have to start allowing ourselves to see ourselves through other people. We get so heavily and high-minded instead of realizing that sometimes there's a part of us that is failing. There's a part of us that lacks discipline. You see what I'm saying? There's a part of us that can be more disciplined. And so we have friends who are more disciplined in areas than we are. And instead of us being jealous of that person, what we should do is tap into who they are, because again, we're one and the same. So we can tap and learn and make that person an accountability partner, because that's why we consider them friends. That's why we're connected to them anyway. Am I right or wrong? You see what I'm saying? So when you really take time and think about it, you'll see that whatever is going on with someone else, that's a part of you. If you're a parent, I'm telling you right now, stop being so hard on your kids. Think about the fact that they represent a part of you that was that age, and that maybe that's a part of you that needs to be healed. Because like I said, when you get in the mirror, you have to ask yourself a lot of questions. The first question I was asking is, why do I keep repeating the same toxic patterns? Again, we just went through it. It's because of how you speak and how you think. Become more intentional on both, and that will change everything. You have to ask yourself, how do I stop feeling like everything is happening to me instead of happening for me? That's not hard. That's a matter of acceptance, believe it or not. Now see, for me, I understand that I am a divine being. So my personal perspective on this whole thing, as far as our incarnation in life, my personal experience or belief, my personal experience in this incarnation is simply based around the fact that I know I'm a divine being. I know that I'm a spark of source. So I came through the sea of forgetfulness, forgetting who I was. And now that I remember, guess what? That character that I used to identify with, that my parents named, that the world knew and all of that stuff. I mean, yes, I still acknowledge when people call me Antoine, but truth be told, I'm Black Phoenix. That's me, because I understand who I am, right? So I let all of that go, and I understand that this stuff is not happening to me. It's happening through me. As I said, all of this is going on inside to bring me back to the place of remembering who I am. I'm no longer having to be subjected to the character who was going through all of those pains and hurts and all of that stuff. However, I do accept that it was necessary to go through that for the process so that I could be here for you, so that we could talk through this. Because again, a person who doesn't understand will always just sit up here and say, you're the victim, and make you feel like you're wrong for the way that you perceive things in the moment. But I'm here to guide you out and help you to understand that, no, you're not the victim. You are the victor. However, it's a matter of you understanding what this is. And the biggest part is really being able to accept that you really are divine source. You are, quote, God. Yeah, we are all sparks of what we call God. And and I'm going to refer to it as it because as a whole, not male or female, but as a whole, it is singular. You see what I'm saying? That's why, in the Bible, Yeshua said, make them one as we are one. See, he understood we are one, meaning that's why he could say, when you see me, you've seen the Father, because he understood who he was. So when you understand who you are in your fullness and your divinity, then you'll no longer see yourself as a victim of circumstance. No matter what's going on, you will not feel trapped in your situation. You will know that now here comes the other part of the story. For the longest time, you've been living this character as a supporting role when it's now time for you to take the lead role. You're now the director. When you remember who you are and what you are, everything changes. You see what I'm saying? So that's just a matter of accepting, because it's all a script. Whether you subscribe to the phrase of free will or not, I understand it. But at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, we're still living according to a script. All of this is a script because it led to the place in the journey. Everything is necessary. Every disappointment, every success, every failure, every pain, everything you've gone through, it has been worth it. It has been for a reason. And I know, like the church, it'll sit there and have you believing, oh, so you can go to heaven. No, I'm telling you, in this existence, you can understand things from a different perspective and grow and be who you're supposed to be. I'm telling you, I've been there. It's happening for you. Life, when you start to understand this, life gets Way more interesting. I mean, it's wild. All the stuff, it doesn't mean like all of a sudden, poof, you got this super duper life all of a sudden overnight. Some people do experience it, but at the same time, there's a process to coming out of it because you have to continue to walk yourself out of old habits, old patterns, old way of doing things, old people. You see what I'm saying? A lot of old things, they gotta go away. You understand? So don't beat yourself up. Just ask yourself the question and accept it. That's a question I'm gonna ask you. Can you accept that you truly are God? That you are a spark of the divine source? That you are absolutely amazing? You see what I'm saying? Not based on what scriptures say, but who you know yourself to be. When will you accept that? That's the question. You see what I'm saying? For real. So that you can stop feeling like everything is happening to you. No, this stuff is happening for you. But it's to help you to remember who you are. Another question. Why do you sabotage yourself when things are finally going good? I had to ask myself that question. Why do I sabotage myself? And I had to be honest with myself. Again, it goes back to the programming and the things that I would say. As I said earlier, I mentioned, I'll believe it when I see it. I was constantly speaking stuff like that. Or I would say, I can't believe that could ever happen to me. That could never happen to me. See, as long as you say these things, you agree that it could never happen. Look at the power of the word never. It means just what it means. Not to happen. Never. So if you're saying it could never happen to you, you get just what you speak. So stop speaking things that are not for your benefit. You see what I'm saying? This is beyond just affirmations. This is about you agreeing with yourself for the benefit of yourself. You got to ask yourself, why do you continue to believe less about yourself? Who told you that lie? Why did you choose to believe that lie? Why are you continuing to believe that lie? How long will you continue to believe that lie? That's the real question. It's not worth it. Yeah, I've grown used to it though, Black Phoenix. I'm used to it. This is my life every day. Yeah, until you decide that you no longer want that to be your everyday. And you have to make that decision. Again, that conscious decision to tell yourself, you have to go in and bring this under subjection. Stop telling yourself the lies because you rehearsed the story over and over. Oh, they did this to me. Oh, that was not fair. Oh, this happened to me. Oh, she left me. Oh, he left me. Oh, he hurt me. Oh, she hurt me. Oh, they said I couldn't. Oh my God. Really? Let it go. Because you're making a choice to rehearse it. You see what I'm saying? That stuff is living rent free in your head and you're giving it power. At some point, you gotta let it go. Understand you're making the choice to hold on to it. I can honestly say I did. I purposely woke up mad. I purposely woke up angry. And I took it out on everybody around me. What in the hell? Who wants to live around that person? Yeah, you see why I'm twice divorced? I put 2 good women through that shit. Because I didn't understand the power of me. I didn't believe in the power of me. I was still holding on to lies that somebody else told me. I chose to hold on to those lies. All those lies preceded both those women. All those lies preceded my children. I had people who suffering, feeling my wrath because of stuff that I chose to believe about me. And then, guess what? Whenever they spoke the truth about what they were seeing, what I was projecting in front of them, I decided, yeah, I'm going to become that thing. I am going to become angry. I am going to become evil. I am going to make your life hell. What? And then as soon as they leave me again, woe is me. You didn't understand because I was going through this stuff that hurt me. You didn't understand. Come back and be with me. That was me trying to beg both of these women, and both of them were smart enough to say, hell no, you on your own. That's real talk. I had to look in the mirror. I had to keep it real with myself. Yeah, I had to man up. This ain't about emotional intelligence, none of that stuff. I was just simply being weak because I chose to believe a narrative based on something that was said to me, and I didn't have to continue to hold on to that. But the thing is, I'm gonna keep it real. I didn't know that I didn't have to continue to hold on to it. That's where I went wrong. So I'm here to tell you, you don't have to hold on to that stuff. Seriously, you don't have to hold on to it. That's your choice. So you wonder, like, when things are going good, why does it seem like everything goes wrong? Because you've been telling yourself that same narrative over and over and over again. I think I already mentioned that though. So the question is, well, how do you reclaim your identity from all this trauma and this loss and all of that stuff? Like I said, you get in the mirror, you own your stuff. You be honest with yourself first and foremost. You claim who you are, right? You accept the fact that, yes, there was a part of me that did this. Yes, there was a part of me that was weak. Yes, there was a part of me that purposely sabotaged things. Yes, there was a part of me that showed parts of me that nobody should have seen. All of that stuff. Yes, I did it. Claim it. Because it did happen. Now that you've done that part, guess what? You let yourself know you don't have to continue to live in that fantasy. I mean, that old shit. You see what I'm saying? You can live in who you are now. Don't continue to look back at who you were. And if you are still being the person that you were, then that's your problem right there. And it's time for you to stand up and choose to be somebody else. Period. You don't have a choice. You see what I'm saying? The way you reclaim your identity, understand you didn't lose anything. What you consider to be a loss or a betrayal, that's all stuff you did to yourself. Oh, your spouse didn't give you any respect? Well, you didn't give yourself any respect. See what I'm saying? Oh, people weren't grateful? You weren't grateful for you. Oh, they did you dirty? You did yourself dirty. Oh, they disrespected you? You disrespected yourself. See, people are a reflection of what is actually going on inside of us. So if that's how you are treating yourself, people are only going to respond in kind. So you reclaim yourself by putting yourself as number one, by showing yourself respect, by truly setting boundaries for yourself, to stop lying to yourself, to stop speaking things that aren't favorable for yourself, to stop looking at everything as being against you, stop looking at the world as being against you, stop looking at everything as an excuse for why it's so hard. No, you're the reason why it's so hard, because you choose to. And I'm gonna be honest with you, some of us, and I'm telling you because I know me, some of us thrive off of that stuff because truth of the matter is we are strong, we are resilient, and we are stubborn as hell on top of that. And so it requires all of this pressure to push out this greatness. But it's like, at what point do you not understand what the mission is here, player? You don't have to keep adding more pressure on yourself before you make the decision that, hey, I'm finna let it out. I'm finna go ahead and accept who I am and become that. And reclaim who I know myself to be. You see what I'm saying? And then, the other question. Stop asking yourself if you're really ready to change. You know you're ready to change. You keep procrastinating because there's a part of you that has said, oh, I've tried this before, I've tried that before. You haven't tried going inside. You haven't really tried taking time to be honest with yourself in front of the mirror, to tell yourself the truth. You're acting like a punk. You're being weak. Stop being weak. You are making a choice to be weak. The fact of the matter is, you know you're not weak because you're still here. Especially for my edge walkers, those of us who walk the edge very closely, thought about suicide and stuff like that, or had suicide attempts. You're still here. You the one who continue to live this thing out because you know you can make it. Come on, man. Am I ready to change? You know you're ready to change. Make the change. Because you are the change for someone else. And it's time for you to stop bullshitting. Excuse my language, but I have to be honest and direct in that. You're sitting around, you're being lazy because you choose to be. You have what it takes. You know what it takes. You see what I'm saying? Stop all of that. Stop making all these excuses. You see what I'm saying? Stop telling yourself and rehearsing this dumb stuff in your brain and be honest with yourself. You know you have what it takes. You love the fact that people tell you that you can't do it. You thrive off of it. But stop sitting around and waddling in that mess and now show them what you're made of. Not for them, but for you. Because you've spent too long wasting your time believing it, when there's been something inside of you the whole time that has been telling you who you are. Seriously. Stop sitting around waiting on some preacher to proclaim you to be a millionaire. I'm gonna be honest, I had that happen to me. This dude said, you're supposed to be a multimillionaire, this, that, and the other. Months later, oh, God says that you won't be a millionaire, you'll just have enough. Did God say that? Or is it you judging me? And now you want to speak that because you knew I was gullible. Yes, I'm admitting these are the areas where I was. I was gullible in the church. I was following all of the stuff that they would say, and all of that. I allowed myself to be used by the church. I admit that. Yes, I was gullible. But the fact of the matter is, I took my family down through there in the process. Wasn't worth it. See, again, this is where you got to go and own your stuff. You got to own who you are. Stop making excuses for people. Stop blaming the preachers and stuff like that. No. I chose to continue to go to that church. Real talk, the first time, whenever I felt like I had a, quote, calling on my life, I never forget. I grew up in the church I went to. There was a new pastor who had taken over, right? His name was like Clifford Matthews or whatever. This dude had taken over, and I told him, I said, I was doing gospel hip hop. So I told him, I said, I feel like I got a calling on my life or whatever. What his response was, oh, well, what you need to do is don't go to, you need to put that rap stuff down and you need to go to seminary because that's where the money was. I left the church at that point. Went to another church. Here I am supposed to be this man's armor bearer. Why? Because all my life, I'm sitting up here saying I'm supposed to be a preacher, this, that, and the other, believing that 8-year-old stuff from when I was 8 years old, and they asked me what I was going to be to grow up when I grew up. And I said, oh, I'm going to be a preacher. So that made everybody happy, including my mama and stuff. So I stuck to that, right? I will say, when it came to writing my little gospel rap, I did a pretty good job. But at the end of the day, I was serious about the Bible. I was serious about what I was going. But at the same time, I was more trying to project what I thought my parents and everybody else wanted me to be. So I left the church, but I went to another church, and this man ends up making me his armor bearer, which he was never teaching me anything, or there was never anything to be gained or learned from him from a spiritual aspect. But he always had me over there, never teaching anything, but he had time for me to be over there while he wanted to play his PlayStation with his son and stuff. Like, I got a family, I got a wife. And I'll never forget, my first wife told me, you stupid, you're a fool for following that man, right? Next wife ended up saying something very similar, because I admit I was gullible in the area of spirituality. I was allowing people to use me and what was leadership qualities and stuff like that, so that I could do ministries and stuff like that. I was being taken advantage of, I'll be honest. I was gullible, given hundreds of dollars in the name of tithes and sowing into the man of God and all of that dumb stuff. I did all of that. Again, I am putting this out there for the simple fact that we have to be honest about where we've been. These were my choices. These were my choices. And the reason why I can stand on the fact that it was my choice, because in both cases, both my wives said they disagreed with how I was going about things when it came to the church and what they saw with the ministries and stuff like that. But I was using my position as a man, standing on my position as a man, saying, no, well, it's going to be this or it's going to be that, da-da-da-da. So see, I made those choices. But meanwhile, I can sit up here and tell you all kinds of stuff about why I got divorced and what they did wrong and stuff like that. No, it's time to really look in the mirror at what we do to create these lives that we have. I'm not saying that we intentionally make these lives. In some cases we do, but some things are based on misunderstandings and some things are based on fears and insecurities. That's why I make it my mission to be honest and transparent, because that's what it takes. I had to be honest with myself about things that I did. And that's where some of my disgust with the church comes from, besides the fact that I did study and understand what the Bible's really showing versus what's taught as religion. But the fact of the matter is, before that, I still have to look at the role that I played in my church hurt, in my experiences, in the things that happened in my marriages, because I made these decisions based on things that I spoke about myself, based on things I believed about myself that were incorrect, but that I continue to tell myself over and over and over and over again. See what I'm saying? That's the thing about the mirror. Whatever is going on in the mirror, you got to make some decisions. You have to be honest, though. You cannot, I don't care what you're doing, you cannot get the most out of this life if you cannot look in the mirror and be honest with yourself. If you want to lie to yourself, continue on. But if you really want to get out of this loop, I'm telling you, this is where it starts. And I'm going to challenge you to look in your mirror. Be honest with yourself. No, it does not feel good. It hurts. I ain't gonna lie, it hurts. Certain things, I felt embarrassed about as I walked through them, and some things I had to actually express out loud for the simple fact that I need to hear myself admit that this is what I did, so that I can no longer be ashamed, so it can no longer hold me captive anymore. Yeah, I admit this is what I did. This is how I felt about myself. Yeah, this is where I struggled. This is why I messed up my family. This is why I hurt this, and this is why I caused problems in my biological family, or whatever the case may be. I had to own my part in it. It wasn't just other people. I had to take my part in it. See, I'm not waiting on some judgment day for a God to judge me. I know how to judge myself. That's where the truth comes in. So I want to encourage you to do the same. Leave something in the comments. Let me know. Let me know what if this helps you. If this helps you, if you can get comfortable in the mirror. Not if. Let me know what it was like for you to go and experience the mirror. I'm not even going to leave it up for an option. I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to challenge you to go in the mirror. Even if it means your physical mirror, and talk to yourself, look at yourself. Some of you need to remind yourself that you're amazing. Some of you need to remind yourself you're not a failure. You're still here. You're still pushing. No matter what's been going wrong, you are still here. You need to go a lot of us need to celebrate ourselves. Because yes, we've been through a lot, but at the same time, we're still here. So we need to rock out through that. You see what I'm saying? That's how we master the frequency. That's how we break the code. There's some more questions that I'm going to pose, but I'm going to leave it right here for right now. These are some questions that we do. We need to ask ourselves in the mirror. And we need to embrace who we are. I really do. I want to encourage you to embrace who you are, who you see that you are, and be that great person. Stop trying to be who you think somebody else thinks you should be. No, who are you? Who do you know yourself to be? Not even what you believe yourself to be. Who do you know yourself to be? Not based on your experiences, what you know from within. That's what I'm speaking on. The honest truth. Go in there and find the best about yourself. I'm going to challenge you. Put that in the comments. Show me one of the best that you've been put in the comments. One of the best things that you rediscovered about yourself that you have been overlooking, that you're now going to embrace and make that a part of your new normal, your new reality, your new loop, your new cycle, that new best thing about yourself. Tell me about that. Until then, keep breaking the code. Keep challenging yourself. Keep pushing yourself. I'm Black Phoenix. Stay strong, because we out here. And we are mastering the frequency. Peace.